Good afternoon. My name is Laura Shallow, and it's my pleasure to introduce the program for today. I'm a current Vice President of the Evergreen Park Chamber of Commerce and a past president from 1988, and I'm a member through World Data Systems, the company that I'm working for, and also St. Xavier University. So it's my pleasure to introduce today. I first want to give some thank yous. So I want to thank Kelly Maroney, who works for the Chamber and keeps everything moving while the rest of us who are members are working on our businesses. Kelly has helped put together this series, this marketing series, and we thank her for everything that she's done. And when you see her online, you'll notice that she has on one of the sweatshirts from our program in terms of selling to promote doing business in Evergreen Park. So thank you, Kelly. Also want to thank Lori and Jim Clearing from Argus Marketing, who Lori has been really helpful in terms of, she's the one that's offered to host it through her Zoom account. And her and her husband do a great job working on our website and all sorts of other projects for the Chamber. So thank you very much to the Clearys. And thank you to everyone who's been on these seminars. We hope that you found them to be very valuable. Today, we're very happy to host another presentation. I do want to tell you about the ones that we've had before this so that you understand the whole series. So on the 16th, we kicked off during Chamber of Commerce Week with a LinkedIn presentation that was given by Sarah Klein of AAA. Last week, we had a social media presentation that focused primarily on Facebook and Instagram that was given by Yasha Sterling Management, Yasha Sterling of Yasha Sterling Management. Both of those presentations were phenomenal. Both of those people are involved with the Chamber through their membership. So part of this program is to educate our current members, but part of it also is to help promote some of our members so that they're able to grow their businesses. And that's what the Chamber is all about, is members helping members. Today, we're very happy to present Bruce Allen from B. Allen Graphics, who's going to be talking about direct mail. Bruce is a board member of the Chamber, so he's been very active. He also helps us with our directory, does a great job. I want to tell you a little bit about Bruce. He has a very impressive background. He actually started in printing as a part-time job after school in the 1970s. He went to college and got a business degree, and then later took night classes for graphic arts and estimating. He worked running all sorts of equipment in a shop that liked pre-press. He was also asked to be a teacher's assistant at Kennedy King for several night classes. Bruce worked his way up the ladder in various larger companies working in this field. He later purchased a small portion of one of these companies that had several locations. And then he started his own business, B. Allen Graphics, along with 3 other smaller ones over the last 32 years. Bruce is very passionate about Evergreen Park. He very passionate about the Chamber. He does a great job. I've used his services. He's happily married to his wife, Lorraine, who we've met at some of our Chamber events. He has a son in Florida, a daughter in the Dakotas, and a stepdaughter with 2 grandchildren in Orland. So thank you, Bruce, for teaching us today about direct mail marketing. On to Bruce.
Well, thank you very much, everybody who is attending. Just kind of wanted to address one of the things off the bat. I guess for the last 7 or 8 years, I've been a Chamber member, and it's been quite rewarding. But I thought I'd kind of readdress and say my last name is Smith. It's not Allen. It's actually my middle name. So
well, I'm sorry, Bruce. I'm sorry, Bruce. I got mixed up. I apologize.
Oh no, that's fine. It's always been kind of funny, and it was kind of like a practical joke I've done for years. By using that, if a salesman comes walking in and asking for Mr. Allen, we know they haven't done their research because there isn't any. So it's kind of our way of weeding out some of the riffraff. So I'd start the conversation out with that. So it's not a problem, Laura. I know exactly who you're talking about.
And Bruce, I apologize. You know, I was looking at your email, and the first thing I saw was B. Allen, and so I apologize. I know it's Bruce Smith, and have met.
That's it's my middle name. All right. Well, let me kind of start off here with the beginning. Basically, it's direct mail marketing programs. Basically, what you're trying to do is reach your customers and prospects with frequency, offers, with creative design, and necessary for your direct mail success. very, very broad terms, but that's what you're out there trying to do. One of the things you've got to do in the beginning is kind of create yourself a budget. You kind of you see large companies create an advertising budget, they put these things together, and they work on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis. It's just something in the back of your mind you need to do. If it's updating your website, if it's print, it's anything, it's marketing. It could be donating to different pieces just to get your name out there. Put a small budget together. It's better to start with something than nothing at all. Then also, you got to be prepared for some of the success that you're going to get from it. Are you ready for it? Is your company ready for it? Do you have the infrastructure ready for it? Because you don't want to invest your money and have it not returned for you. All right, design for action. Make sure the design drives your target audience and your gauge. Balance the aesthetics and your appeal with the design and what you're after. You see a lot of times we do some stuff for Valpak, other things of that nature, where they're now beginning the back to school stuff with dentists. I didn't know that for many years, but apparently you have to get checked for your dental before you go into certain classes. So the dentists and other groups and doctors have a tendency to advertise in the end of the year and summer to get the kids in. Now, when you're preparing this, thinking as a dentist, and you're going to be a children's dentist. So you want to make sure then you produce your product for a child's level, or not a child's level per se, but for a child. So when you're going to be a children's dentist, you want to have something to do with checkups. You want to have something to do with maybe braces, something that the young children will do, along with saying it's necessary for school. So you don't want to create your marketing piece with, teeth that were possibly knocked out in an accident on an adult, and then with dentures. You want your marketing to go for the people that you're after. So, that. You want to come up with some great offers. So you want to put together an offer that you want to work with. You might want to have a coupon. You want to have something that works for your industry that will work. And then just make sure it fits your target market. If you're working with kids, you want to make something that might be related to kids. A kid may get a free t-shirt if they arrive. Something in marketing that will work, that will be apropos to who and what you're going after. Make it to what it is. You don't want to spend, one of the things everybody complains about is postage. So you really don't want to spend more money on postage than what you don't have to. A lot of ways of looking at it, a lot of ways of approaching it. I'll go through some of those things to do. So you want to direct mail campaign, and you don't want it to be ignored. So just make sure that the money you're spending is going to be used correctly. Most of your mailings, you have a pretty good ratio of about 40% of who you're going to send it to is going to get to the right people. If you buy the right list, if you maintain the right list. The whole thing is on your list preparation and your target market. Your response might be 3 to 5%, but you want to get it to at least 50% of the people that you're target marketing to. So there are some different programs that work. I'm just going to go through and explain a little bit about what they've done. They have this EDDM, which is a saturated mailing that works with carrier routes and zip codes. That's what we currently use for libraries, schools. We did that for the chamber. What that does is it sends it to everybody in that town, in that zip code, in that carrier route. I'll explain a little further how you can make it a little bit more finite and have it work a little bit more for your business. You have your standard, pre-sort, which is basically a good term for bulk mail. Gets everything around within a week or two. It is what it is. It works. Then you have a first-class pre-sort, which is a first-class mailing which you'll get bad addresses back, which is nice, so you can refix and re-update your mailing list. But what that is they will go by the area codes on it and basically pre-sort that. So you do get a better rate. That's usually done by machine through a mail house, very difficult to do in person. So then you have your standard first-class mailing, which everybody can do, which then goes back to some of the marketing, where you can decide what you want to do, when you want to do. If you have a list, decide you want to put 50 pieces in the mail a week. If that's something you can handle on a response, you can follow up, you can do what you want. So it depends upon how you want to mail and how do you want to respond to it. You can also buy lists from list brokers. You can then determine who you want to send to by the type of business. Determine what businesses you're after, what radius you want to go from your facility. You want to go 60 miles, 100 miles. I currently have a mail order business for financial forms, and we're licensed in several states, Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, that area down there. With the internet, people buy forms off the internet. We ship them UPS. Logistics is not an issue. So I then purchase those lists for my customers through a list broker. I target financial industries. I target payday loan centers, used car lots, places down there that rent furniture need those financial forms. So those are the marketplace I've come up with to work with, very finite group. So when we do mailings, our response is a lot better than if you're just throwing groups out to nowheres. So the whole thing is research. Or you can actually produce your own mailing list. A lot of times with your current accounting, your accounts receivable is your customer list, which now gives you a mailing list. You can generate something that if you're going to have a coupon, a special event, or any other items that you want to kind of push out there, you can have that captive audience in that list. You know it's good, you know it works, and your steady customer base. The more you stay in touch with your customer base, the better off you're going to be. So that's a nice place to really start with. It's easy to do. It can be done on a manageable basis. You can actually create your own listings. You know, over the course of time, we've created our own listings, which might be for schools, might be for libraries, might be for certain other industries that I will turn around in time in order to put out. We'll send stuff out to schools midsummer to get prepared for the fall with their forms, financial forms, their multi-part forms, things that they might want to use. This year we had problems with the libraries kind of crashing out on us. So I kind of came up with an idea of sending them a mailing about staying in touch with their residents with smaller postcards. We're here, you can get books, they're e-services. It wasn't a 12-page newsletter, a small postcard. It maintained our business with them, it maintained us being represented to them, and it stayed out in the client. So it was kind of a win-win for everybody, but you kind of have to think out of the box, and that's what kind of I had done with that. Currently, we've created a mailing list for our schools, the schools we work with, and potential customer schools. I'm always working on potential. So for the schools, we've come up with the COVID testing. We've now done 5 schools where they've purchased pads of paper that they're using for COVID testing. As the children come in, they have this signed by their parents that they don't have the sniffles, don't have a temperature, blah, 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 blah. But the schools now have those forms to hand out to the children when they come back. So I've developed another mailing list out to those schools and other schools to see if I can capture that. Along with that would be small samples of what we've printed in the past for them to get ideas. You kind of try and have to capitalize on that small hole and see what you can do to fill it. So those are small things I've done. A lot of your lists over the course of time should be NCOA certified, which is National Change of Address. It works out pretty good. You're allowed to use them for up to 6 months. And what you do is you can buy a list or your own list. If it's over 1,000 pieces, you should certify it. And what that will do, it will give you a report of where the addresses have changed to, what addresses are no good. It may cost you $50 to $100 depending on the size, but now again, you're not sending to places that don't exist. You're not going to be getting things back that are no good. So the money is well spent. You can update your list, keep it accordingly. There are different ways of doing that with a combination of different industry standards. You can determine who you want to go after through the SIC groups, if it's big business, if it's schools, if it's whatever. Like I said, go back, take your logistics, figure out where you want to go, who you want to see, and take it from there. Every business, everything else is different. Printing is very difficult to figure out who's a print buyer, especially looking at different things. I could go past a 500,000 square foot building and think that they're going to generate a lot of printing. With the way things are right now with intermodal hubs, that building doesn't generate any printing. I could go buy a small building next door to us that could generate tons of printing. So it's very difficult to tell both in sales and in marketing. So some of the print sales and some of the mail sales seem to work out because you can develop a flow of who is buying and of what they are buying. There's different smart saturation mailings, and that kind of goes to the Every Door Direct mailing. And basically what they're doing is you can go to the USPS website, go to the business area of their website and click on it and the EDDM. And what that will do is you'll put in a zip code of, say, like Evergreen Park, and it will list all the carrier routes that are in that, along with mapping strategy. The mapping strategy is very handy also if you are in like pizzas or other type of restaurants with delivery. You now work around your delivery pattern, logistics, mapping, whatever. It is a very reasonable way to mail because you're not addressing. You don't have to develop a mailing list. You don't have to do anything to it. So you can purchase, you don't even purchase the listing, you get it from the USPS website. It works out very well. You can actually do it to where you can time your mailings. If you're a restaurant and you want to send out 300 or 400 pieces that week, you turn around and pick out that particular zone or carrier route you want to send. You put them in a tray, you mark them accordingly, you go to the post office, pay up front for that mailing, and you go. With doing it that way, you're down to about 18, 19 cents, which is quite, you know, an easy process to do, easy to manage. You can go on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, whatever you want to do. So the logistics are quite good. You can target market by zip code. You can go to different places. It's a quite handy way of doing it. The government put this together, which is probably one of the easiest programs they've ever put together. One of the drawbacks is you cannot go just to businesses. You can go to residential and businesses or just residents. So as a business owner, I cannot just do the business list of that particular route. You have to go to everybody. So it does have its pros and cons. If you are going after retail, it's a great way of doing it. They got to be dropped off at the post office that the village is in, which isn't a problem. There's some design elements you need to work with. I'll be more than glad to help people work through the design elements, work through the print, work through the distribution, basically just instruct of some of the easy ways around it. Because as the post office is, they all play by a different set of rules. You may have a 3-inch wide binder, but after every one of the chapters, it's subject to local postmaster's discretion. And the post office has a tendency to change people like I change cars. They're never around, same people, not there. They won't ask questions. They'll send you down to Memphis and you get lost in the shuffle. It's kind of like our unemployment system now. So that's kind of the way the post office works. And really, that's pretty much the gist of it as far as that marketing and printing that I'm involved in. Don't know what else I can help you with there except be smart in what you do, make sure it fits the clientele that you're after, and be smart in the clientele of your listing to go to the right people to get your response. Because some people will say the mailing didn't work. Then I'll ask them, where did it go to? Well, I sent it to these people. Did you really want those people? Well, no, they didn't take the time to do it right. Just like anything else, if you don't take the time to do it right, you're not going to get a good response. So that's kind of what all I got to say. That helps you at all.
Bruce?
Yes.
Hi, this is Laura.
Yes.
If you had a budget, do you help businesses with a budget that then you can make recommendations where your marketing budget would be best served and your goals?
Sure, there's a lot of ways. I've helped some of the schools where all of a sudden they want this, this, and this. I'm like, well, you're building a Lamborghini over here and you've got the little car budget here. Let's turn around and do this, where they want, a big thing nowadays has been yard signs. I think I've done more yard signs in the last year than I have in 25 years because they're getting things out to promote their band, to promote the school, to promote different, because you can put it in a yard, it's done. When they're all of a sudden asking, well, we want this, this, and this, I said, whoa, 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 whoa. How much is in your budget? Well, we want to spend about this. Well, I can tell you right now, you're not going to get a two-sided color yard sale sign for under 10 bucks. So if you're doing 500, you got 5 grand. Well, we only got 2,500. Let's go to single color. Let's go to single sided. Let's get that. The more pieces we're out, people are not going to look at it and say, oh, it's just a one color yard sale sign. They're going to say, ah,
Right,
got their attention. So I try and work with budgets with that. When people give me these things to quote on from, you know, 1,000 to 100,000, it's like, come on, buy a clue. Here's $1. How much is in your budget? I'll tell you what I can get for you. You know, and people have.
And what about the people, right? And what about the people who don't even know what that budget should be to accomplish what they want? So if I were to tell you what I would like to accomplish, would you be able to work backwards from that or make suggestions, a plan, and then with budgets, with costs, so that you can make decisions from there?
Of course, there's a lot of the things you can do. I think it's a whole thing to look at the entire picture. I always say, bring me in the beginning and at the end and tell me to fix it. So you can sit down in a meeting and figure out what is my prime example, what am I after? What is my radius? Where do I want to be? How do I want to present myself? Am I going to do follow-ups to this? Am I going to send something out that's a $10 package, or am I going to send $1 ones out 10 times? So, you know, you're going to get that response, get your logistics, and then same way too, where do you want to feel? You can get an industry average of businesses like yours is what they spend. Easiest thing to do is ask your accountant. They're going to turn around and tell you. Average one spends, you know, 5% on marketing. Okay, if I do $1 million a year, I got to spend 50 grand, whatever the heck it is. Go backwards that way, and it'll give you a good understanding. What does my competition do? If, oh gosh, I see my competition in Valpak every month, or I see my competition out here every month. What does it cost them to do that? What's it cost them for that booth here? What's it cost them for that? You find out a booth works, but then again, is it working? Or is it better off spending that, you know, $500 every couple months on a mail piece and see how it responds? Sort it out, go to different places. Yeah.
What, like when you had mentioned something about 40 to 50% of a mailing, I don't remember which type. I think that was in the beginning before you started describing the differences.
No, it's determined by the results is determined by the success of your listing, meaning who is going to get it. So if you have a list that's very, very broad, only 40% of the people you're after are going to receive it. So make your list more finite.
Are there ways, so what type of mailing, and I hope I didn't miss that because I had an interruption, but are there types of mailings that are trackable where you would have an idea, like analytics of some sort? And I know that that's more of an internet type of term, but.
Even the post office, if you go to the Every Door Direct Mail, it will tell you what the per household income is in that particular route. So that'll help you there. There are ways with the list brokers, like in your, you know, where like real estate people or mortgage company, who's looking, who just changed hands. Now they know they need new insurance. So you can go to the brokers who's changing hands because they're seeing where the new titles are coming in. They're seeing with that stuff. Or you partner with somebody else to where you're working with somebody who's doing title closing and you're doing insurance. So, you know, there's a whole group of that, but the list brokers can determine things you want very easily by those parameters.
Okay.
Well, I
So
also
just
think in terms
buying
of
a list.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add, so you can buy a list and you can probably import it into some Excel spreadsheet where you can massage it and you can get rid of some of the stuff that doesn't pertain to you, whatever that might be.
Well,
like
the more expensive the list is, the more finite it's going to be, and the less you'll have to do.
Okay.
You know, so you'll say, I want people to make 200 grand a year, live in a 50-mile radius of my location, and have traded stocks in the last 2 months. Boom! It eliminated the 50,000 other people. It may cost you more. That list might be $200 1,000 instead of $10 1,000 walk sequence, but what you send out is going to get you to the 40% of the people you're after to get your 5%. That's all I'm trying to say.
So you pay for them to do all the, to make it a finite list. Okay.
Correct. You only want people that have, like I say, in your industry, that have purchased houses, or people who are done that, purchased a car, refinance something. So things come up that way. Remember years ago when people were selling homes by owner, we were working with a mortgage company. And the mortgage company would give you a sign for your home and then with a code in it. And people would drive by, see that sign for sale by owner, dial that code, and it would go to the mortgage company. You probably know Crown Mortgage, Mike Allen?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. When this was done probably 15 years ago. So I had gone through that. They'd advertise on, I believe it was Southtown and everything else. And I said, Mike, what's in this for you? It costs you nothing. It costs me nothing. You filter out the people. You make sure they're financeable. He says, Bruce, I know they're looking for a house. If they're looking for a house, I know they're looking for a mortgage. I've got their phone number. They've called. If they don't buy your house, they're buying one. So for him to put up a sign and an ad in the newspaper gave him all these people looking for homes that he probably wouldn't have got from anyplace else. So I thought it was a great marketing ploy on his part.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we sold our 2 homes, didn't pay the real estate commissions, win-win for everybody, and he got 3 other mortgages out of the 2 houses we sold. So it was a great idea.
Yeah.
But, you know, it worked. It worked for him on that end, you know.
I have a question, Bruce. Can you talk for a little bit about how direct mail can work well with other aspects of marketing programs, like, say, your website or your social media or other kinds of marketing tools, how the items can integrate together for better results?
I think, you know, I hate the word branding, because it's gotten so overused. But if you look with the same color scheme, the same works, the same things,
Yep.
if you get to something too where people leave or a note to go to the website. So
Yep.
once they log into the website for maybe a special deal. So now you can track where your things are going. Once you lead them to the website, you've now got the broad marketing concept of what it is. That's why I was watching some of these things with the social media and taking notes on that. That's something maybe I'm going to need to reach into. We're in the process of redoing our website with things. We constantly are updating the website with new products to show a new newsletter, a new piece, so people aren't going to the website and seeing a newsletter from 2018. They want to see the new ones. So we're constantly doing that, and I'm hoping by constantly making changes, we put our new equipment additions to things, all that other, and hopefully that moves us up into Google Analytics. So I may not be understanding it correctly, but I'm hearing that that's how a lot of that stuff works. So that's what I'm trying to do, and just kind of make sure it's coherent to where that works, and then it leads back to the website. Our website does have order taking on it, questions, ask for quotes, that type of thing. So it's trying to make a round robin type of approach to it. So my social marketing and media, that doesn't exist. So I've only got 2 out of the vicious triangle here, you know.
I just meant for other clients, you know, your other clients as well, that the idea that they could do postcards that suggests people go to a landing page or take a survey or something that's trackable that helps generate leads for that business.
Right. And then a lot of it too is you leave a code on the thing, even though it's a stagnant code.
Mm-hmm.
It's that date of that mailing.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's from that particular thing. It knows that that came out of the, you know, direct marketing of Evergreen, but they're still going to get it into the website.
Got it.
You know, but the whole thing, like you say, is get something that's going to send them back to your website. Now you have a captive audience because you're going to get them to log in.
Yeah.
You know, if you send it to them, that's why a lot of times I might do the same mailing and repeat it in, say, 4 to 6 weeks. First time may not catch your attention. Second time, they're either going to say, yes, it kept it, I'm going to keep it, or 2, I throw it out. So I really don't follow up after the 3rd or 4th until I change the piece. So if that kind of helps, but you're trying to get them to drive to the site. I've seen that before where people have requested samples then, where they've seen it. Didn't make sense to me at that point, but do you have a sample of this product? You know, so I try and get a drive to the website. And I mean, it's a hard thing to do. Some of the websites, some of the people drive from other parts of the country. So we can actually order, something I said before, that we're licensed in other states for our forms. They can go to our website, order the form online, get it that way. So, you know, or view it, which is what people call up and say, I don't understand which form I want to use. Go to the website, click on the forms, go through that. You can expand it, go what it is, download it. It has copy written on it so they can't use it, but they can download to see if that's what they need for their issues. So I'm trying to get them to drive to the site, which then drives to more. So if that helps, I don't know.
Could I put my 2 cents worth in? Okay, I'm talking about Bruce from a different angle since I do graphic design, and Bruce is just the best. And the thing that most people are concerned about, like when I get some of my jobs, everybody's beyond the deadline. Now we're scrambling because we've passed the deadline, but we've got to get the product out. And Bruce never fails, no matter how late
Don't set me up, Helen. Don't set me up.
no matter how late I bring Bruce the files, he gets that job out on time. And he's got a wonderful gentleman in pre-press sale. I always have him check my work to make sure I didn't screw up anywhere. Everything's fine. So all I want to say is Bruce has a wonderful team. He does a great job. And this is recording. So since the attendance here is rather sparse, I hope that Kelly will send this recording to all the rest of the members so they can hear all the good stuff that you do.
Thank you, Helen.
You know, you're helpful. You help me with stock choices. You know about the mailing. You're just the best. This is an unsolicited.
Yeah, put the like on my website. That'll be great.
And I approve this message.
Are there any other questions? I know I fly through the stuff fast because it's something I do on a daily basis, and I don't have any visuals for you to look back and slow down, but I'm more than glad to, take any emails from people or any other questions and work themselves through it. Not that I'm looking for the print job, love to have it, but if I can help people determine how to go about finding a better way of doing it. Some of the larger companies are given canned mailing budgets, or given pieces to work with, but they just don't know how to market themselves or how to get it to the right people. And that's, if you can ask me that, or if I can help you with that, to better use that money more efficiently that you have. They have marketing budgets. I'll be more than glad to work with you on that, whatever's necessary.
I have a quick question. Do you ever run a test campaign first? Can you do a smaller scale, mailing? I wonder if businesses are skeptical to jump in and, do a full mailing to a broad market.
Well, and that's where it kind of comes back to one of my points is be prepared for it. Determine, are you ready for it? I mean, you can't turn around and be a dental firm and do a 50,000 piece mailing. And if you got a couple percent, are you going to come up with another 100 to 150 customers tomorrow? They're going to come in for those appointments. Then you're going to frustrate the situation and they'll never call you again. So a lot of times, a couple of dental places we work with, they may print 50,000 cards and do their own every door direct, but they'll dump 5,000 every 2 weeks. It's a manageable process. They'll go by the areas, they go by the things, they go by, whatever determines their way of doing it. But when people do large quantity mailings like that, I don't suggest it at all, because you've got to be prepared for it. It just frustrates it. It's like opening up a new restaurant and then you go to that restaurant and they don't have their act together. Their servers aren't there, this isn't there, everything else. And the first thing you say is, I'm never going back there again until they get their act together. And that may be 6 months and then you forgot about it. So just be prepared for the results. And what am I going to do when the results come in? Do I have product for them, or do I have the manpower to help them? So you have to figure out what you're trying to sell or trying to get, and am I prepared to deliver it when I do get it? Is that kind of what it is?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like you said, if you print everything at once, but then maybe only send out a certain amount at, different times.
And that's one of the things with the Every Door Direct, which is kind of handy. We'll do that where somebody might print 50,000 menus for a pizza place. And then when the kids are around doing nothing at night, or they're cutting up stuff, doing whatever, they're done with their prep, let them sort out the next route. Let them get it ready. Or they come in at 10:30 in the morning, whatever, send the kid over to the post office, let them wait in line, let them give them the $120 and they mail that route. Done, easy, and let it go from there. And you'll see the response. It's like I say, if you put all that 10 or 20,000 out at one time, that's a rough one to take. But you do it gradually. Financially, it's easy to do. It's easy to put the routing and sorting together and management back on response. That's why I suggest it to a lot of people. Big mailings like that are, I guess, nice if you're a printer, but on the other end, is it going to frustrate the other side?
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Anything else?
Are there any other questions? I don't know. No other questions?
Can I make a comment?
Yes, all you.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Sure.
I'm doing this on my cell phone with my computer in front of me. So I like, where do I press buttons? So I wanted to make sure it was on. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, Bruce, but I always felt like direct mail kind of suffered quite a bit when social media came into play, for sure. I mean, I used to do a lot of mailings, but I will tell you, I still do mailings and have used smart lists that I have mostly built over 30 years. And I find them to be very helpful and very powerful. So I know it works. But what I was most interested in hearing too was, geez, I've been using my old lists and doing it myself, and that is very time consuming. And as most people know, any of us, I'm sure, are very busy and juggling things from time to time. So I was very interested in hearing what you had to say, and especially knowing that the industry seems to have come quite a long way since I've actually even considered consulting with any direct mail marketing professionals. So I will be very interested in talking to you in the near future, just to kind of hone in on some of my questions and more details about my profession and what I want to do. But I want to thank you. That was really helpful to hear how the industry has changed and kept up with how technology has impacted, your type of industry. So
Well, we've done that with a lot of different organizations also, especially when you're going with first class, that we'll take the Excel files, merge it into our print. So you can come up with a nice, beautiful 4-color card, everything else like that. It's addressed all at the same time.
yes.
And what we'll do is we have permits for nonprofit, bulk mail, first class, everything else like that. So if you're going to go to a first class mail, as long as it's over 500 pieces, you can dump it in the post office. You're not addressing by hand. You're not putting labels on it.
Right. Labels.
So
Yes.
I mean, you're kind of going through that. So that's where I guess, technology keeps going up. We have a digital apartment that we can do that. Print, address the postcards, done. I mean, we do that for quite a few people like that. And it's over and done, which is nice. You manage the files and give us a file that's good. I mean, if you want to have it NCOA, just in case you want to keep it current. But if you're going first class, you should be getting your bad addresses back in order to then keep your listing current. You know. But what's nice is you have your past history, you have your other thing. Do you want to turn around and purchase a specialized mail list and throw some out? Throw some out with your other ones. Kind of
A different angle. Yeah.
Well,
I would probably continue with what I do because I know what works with that.
Right.
And it's very hyper local, but and I think that's always good to stay in touch with the people you know.
Oh yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
In whatever format you can, but I do kind of sit there and put labels on some of the stuff I do. So
Some of the things too,
I would like to find a better way.
Yeah, some of the things too, we've also listed on some of the mail pieces that we work with, sometimes referrals. If you cannot take advantage of our services at this point, do you have a friend or associate that does? And by asking for the order or asking for referrals, even without something on the backside as their advantage, we've gotten referrals. So it's just sometimes asking helps. I mean, we do a lot of libraries and things like that where they have their meetings, and all of a sudden they're at a meeting and they're saying, "Oh, I hate my printer. I like my printer. Who's that? Who's Bruce? Oh, well, gosh, we should use Bruce. We should." So, if you have a niche in a group that you get into, as long as you stay on the positive side of it, it's a double-edged sword. If you screw up, then you got a whole bunch of them that don't like you. So,
Yeah, right.
So we try and do a little bit of branching out all the time.
Okay.
It's kind of a constant thing. I would say once a month I've got something going out. It may be only 75 or 100 pieces. There's a specialized list of, say, libraries I don't do, schools I don't do, parks I don't do, whatever. So there's always something going on, something.
Okay, good. Thank you.
No, not a problem. That's what I'm here for.
Does anyone else have any questions? Well, thank you, Bruce, for coming and taking your time to prepare for this. This is really very helpful, and I particularly am thrilled about all of the volunteers to do the small business marketing series with us, because it just shows that we're all working together and connecting. And I think that that is a major goal that I had with being president and trying to do this through COVID time. So this has been very, very rewarding to me to see that we are all working together. So thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for the
Thank you,
opportunity.
Laura. Thank you, Laura. I think that, you know, again, we started with some thanks at the beginning. I want to close with some thanks. So thank you, Bruce Smith from BLN Graphics. I apologize. The good thing is I always remember your business name. I remember Bruce, and I do remember Smith. But Bruce, you did a great job. You did a great job today with educating all of us on direct marketing. And you've certainly been a very valuable addition to the Chamber of Commerce board over the last many years. And we appreciate all your insight in educating us. And hopefully we'll have more people doing direct marketing, and hopefully that'll generate some additional business for you, because I know you do a great job.
So
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And, you know, thank you, Laura Freeman. Thank you for being on, as you always are. And thank you for your leadership. When Laura accepted the presidency of the chamber, obviously she didn't know that this was going to be a very challenging year. And she's done a great job with her leadership in spite of COVID and, you know, being a difficult time for businesses. Thank you to Kelly for keeping us all active and busy by all the work that she does on behalf of the chamber. She does a great job. And thank you for the Clearys, Lori for hosting today's webinar, and Jim, both of you for all the work you do to help us with our website and other projects. One of the many great things that we can say about the chamber is that we all do have a passion for Evergreen Park and our business community, and we want to keep that going. So thanks to all of you for joining us. And a reminder that we do have more programs coming up. I announced those at the beginning, and you can also look at your chamber website and get those. But next week we have on 10/7 we have podcast advertising and how to start your own podcast with Christopher Lanuti of the EP Podcast, who is also a chamber member. I think you'll find that very interesting. He's not only going to talk about the EP Podcast, which is very popular, but he's also going to talk about how you can do your own. And then we're going to end this great series of 5 weeks with Lori and Jim Cleary of Argus Marketing, who are going to talk about websites, Google My Business, and email marketing. So it's been a great program, and hopefully it's bringing a lot of good, valuable information to all of our members. So thank you to everybody who has been part of this program.
Excuse me, is there a meeting on Tuesday? As far as a chamber meeting, it's first Tuesday.
There is, as soon as I
this
get
all
prepared
working
for
out
it. Yes, there will be. It's a board meeting. So yes.
Okay.
So just look for, I'll be sending out an agenda pretty soon.
Okay.
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 I can set up a conference call or a Google Meets, whatever you want to do.
Let's just do it that way. It's so much more convenient,
Yeah.
not to mention, and safe. So let's just do it that way. That would be best.
All right. Sounds
We'll
good.
be sending an email out to the board and probably by Monday. So
Great.
Thank
Thank you so much. All right. Bye.
Thank you for the
Have a good
opportunity
day,
again.
guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bruce.
Bye.